Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. Thanks for tuning in. Ham Talk Live will be on the air shortly. Please stand by. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, call 920-435-2973 or visit pl-259.com. And by Spring Hill Suites, Dayton, South Miamisburg, the Hamvention home for Ham Talk Live. Reserve your rooms now at Marriott.com or call 888-850-6391.
It's Ham Radio with Neil Rapp. Here we go. Welcome to Ham Talk Live. Call in, let's talk. Neil's your guy. Ham Talk Live. Here we go on Ham Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. It's time for yet another episode of Ham Talk Live. It's number 52, DXing with Fred Regennitter in K4IU, recorded live on Thursday, February 16th, 2017. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight, we're joined by Fred Regennitter, K4IU, and we'll be talking about DXing and take your calls live in just a few minutes. Last week, George Nicholson, N4GRN, was on the show to talk about logistics for DXpeditions. And if you missed that show, you can listen anytime. You just go to hamtalklive.com and you can listen on demand. Or you can listen to one of those podcast things, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, SoundCloud, or you can go over to YouTube and catch the old shows, so take a listen to those. And tonight, we celebrate our first year on the air. So, 1 year ago, I decided it was time to give talk radio a shot, something I've been wanting to do for a very, very long time. And so I decided that it was time to get back into broadcasting at least just a little bit. And since last year, we've grown to over 1,000 listeners each week, and we just celebrated our 2,000th follower on Twitter. And we did a show at Dayton with a live audience. We added Instagram and Periscope to our Facebook and Twitter feeds, and even did a show with open phone lines, and hopefully we'll do some more of those. Stephen Hawking, Samuel F.B. Morse, Kate Upton, and Oprah Winfrey are just a few of the stars who have never been featured right here on Ham Talk Live. But we have had some of the top names in amateur radio and leading experts on this program, covering everything from DXpeditions to Young Ham of the Year. So to our listeners, our guests, our callers, and our tweeters, we say thanks. And we hope you continue to listen and more of you will participate in the show in the years to come. Also, don't forget there's 1 day left of School Club Roundup. Just got home a little bit ago from working on that. So get on the air, give the kids a call tomorrow, and give them some more contacts on the last day of School Club Roundup. All right, get your dialing fingers ready. After the interview, you can call us by telephone at 812-NET-HAM1. That's 812-638-4261. Or you can Skype us at the username HamTalkLive. You can also send questions via Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at HamTalkLive. So I'll be back with Fred right after this word from Tower Electronics, right here on Ham Talk Live. This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you in part by Tower Electronics. Tower Electronics has been the Ham's Dime store since 1978. When you need connectors, mobile and handheld antennas, cables, or adapters, visit Scott or Jill at a Hamfest near you. Or you can order online at pl-259.com or call 920-435-2973. Stock up on those supplies like PL259 and N connectors, SMA adapters, audio cables, soldering supplies, mobile antennas, and ham sticks. Their silver-plated N connectors are even used on the International Space Station. Tower Electronics carries MFJ, Comet, Daiwa, OPEC, Workman, and Ham Pro products. And don't miss their 0% off sale going on now. Tower Electronics, online at pl-259.com, proud to sponsor this episode of Ham Talk Live.
Oh, baby, you put a 5-9 in my logbook. Now enjoy more Ham Talk Live.
Thanks to our friends Scott and Jill at Tower Electronics for sponsoring the show tonight to help bring you Ham Talk Live. They'll be at the Dalton, Georgia Hamfest on February 25th and Cave City, Kentucky on March 4th. Or you can call them at 920-435-2973 or visit them at pl-259.com online and tell them you heard it on Ham Talk Live. Ham Talk Live is on the air every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at hamtalklive.com. And if you missed the show, you can listen to the archive on the website or download it from most popular podcasting websites. Fred Regennitter, K4IU, is a retired orthodontist and consummate DXer and contester. He traveled the world as an officer in the U.S. Army as an orthodontist, being stationed in Germany, Seoul, South Korea, and the Canal Zone, as well as across the USA, including as the commander of orthodontics while stationed at Fort Knox, Kentucky. While at Fort Knox, he had a stealth Yagi living next door to the base commander, even. He's operated from Germany, Korea, and the Canal Zone with his wife, Judy, K4IU. He was a big contester in the Canal Zone working with Jim, K4SQR, who started Comtech Products. Fred worked DXCC from the Canal Zone and from Korea. He was transferred back to the continental United States in the 80s and landed at Fort Knox, Kentucky. He and Judy raised two children, Chris and Jill. Chris followed his dad's footsteps and did a short career in the Army after graduating from West Point. And Chris is now an executive with Frito-Lay. And Jill went on to the best university south of the Ohio River. It's the University of Kentucky, where she majored in marketing and was a member of my beloved Big Blue Nation. She's a strong UK fan even to this day, and she lives in Chicago. And that instantly just made her okay in my book. I haven't met her, but that's okay. She's a part of Big Blue Nation. So Fred and Judy have 6 grandchildren, and he taught at that other big university in Kentucky that I try not to talk about. That's the University of Louisville. In the dental school, and was a member of the Kentucky Contest Group. So Fred now competes with wires in his backyard. He has an off-center fed dipoles, runs a Flex 6700 and Icom 7700. He's a local contest mentor to hams in the Rochester, Minnesota community. and is a board member of the Minnesota Wireless Association. Fred's an active contester, weekly in the CWT and nearly every weekend in a contest. He has more QSOs per foot of wire than most hams ever dream possible. And he's almost completed 80-meter DXCC just on an off-center fed dipole. So, Fred, welcome to Ham Talk Live.
Well, thanks, Neil. I'm honored to be your guest on this first anniversary of your radio talk show. Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll try not to hold the Louisville thing against you. We were talking about that a little bit before the show, and
thank you.
We'll try to skip over that.
Just a minor flaw in my resume, right?
You're right, exactly. But everything else, we could overlook that, being the UK fan that I am. So, we just want to talk some DXing tonight, and you've had a rare experience of being able to work DXCC from several different places, and DX from not just here in the United States, but from several locations. So the first question here is for somebody starting out in DXing and wants to work toward getting 100 entities for DXCC, what would you recommend as the best way to accomplish that goal for the first time?
Well, you have to get on the air. You know, Neil, it's often easy to work DXCC in a single contest weekend. And I think electronic logs have helped a lot. Logbook of the World makes it easy to get the confirmations without doing all the busy work with QSLing and SASEs. Consider the major DX contests promoted by the American Radio Relay League, CQ Magazine. There's one this weekend, the American Radio Relay League CWDX contest. If you don't do Morse code, wait until next month when it's single sideband. And don't forget, there are some of the DX contests, good ones, sponsored by countries outside of North America, the Worked All European contest, Russian Federation contest, JARL, the French contest, HA, Hungarian, Polish, and Scandinavian, just to name a few. There are weekly and monthly annual contest calendars. You can find these on a number of different sites. One of them is WA7B&M's site, the CQ and QST publications. On a day-to-day basis, I think spotting networks are helpful. And, of course, there are newsletters like the Daily DX, QRZ DX. Neil, DX is relative. It can be a remote rock or island, or it can be an entity which, prohibits ham radio. If you take a look at the 10 most wanted lists, 10 most wanted DX entity lists, now it's different than it was, 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Number 2 on that list is Bouvet Island. You've had one of your guests, Ralph Fedor, K4IU, yes. I think. Mm-hmm. So he's been there, and that's number 2 on the list. P5 is number 1, the North Korean Republic. But
which by the way, I saw that come across DX Summit today.
Really?
Somebody decided to spot P5DX today.
Well, I don't know if it's a pirate or Slim or who that is, but I wouldn't mind having that.
Today was the day that it was supposed to happen from the guy that was stateside. Today was the day he was supposed to go. The canceled trip.
Well, I could definitely put that one in my logbook.
Yeah. As could I.
So those are just some suggestions. I mean, the radios are sophisticated now. You do what you have to do for antennas, but 100 watts to wire, a good contest weekend with a little help from, the solar cycle, I think it's entirely possible to get it knocked out pretty fast.
Well, there's a lot of opportunities to get these in, and like you said, in a contest. We did this at school where I teach. We got DXCC worked, at least. We didn't get it all confirmed yet, but we got it all worked in just a weekend on CQ Worldwide. So there's opportunities like that. And then how do you like to keep up with all the DXpeditions, the Bouvet Islands and the Peter Ones and those? How do you like to keep up with those?
Well, probably the best is some of the DX newsletters, like the Daily DX. And then, I just get on. I'm more interested in the contesting aspect of it now than chasing down the DXCCs. I have work to do. I need a few more on 80 for 5-band DXCC from this QTH, and I think a contest weekend I could probably knock that out. I'm running out of time for this season, though.
Yeah, it's not a optimal time for a lot of those with the cycle where it is as well, so makes it difficult. Well, let's talk about DXing from other countries. So do you think it's easier to get contacts when you're not in the United States and you've got that call sign from someplace else? Or what's different about DXing when you're not here in the United States?
Well, it never hurts if you're on the air to have a rare and a cool call. The DX is kind of irrelative. It just depends. So what's DX for me is maybe not necessarily DX for a JA. So DXing is kind of the pursuit of distance with the goal of earning an award like the XCC or worked all zones. And your DXing neighbors are all going to be a little different. So, for an example, in Korea, it's difficult from that part of the world to work into the Caribbean. So we had to get through a wall of JAs to overcome to be able to work the VP5s and the KP2s. And to the west, at least in the 80s, there was this huge interference from what was known as the Russian woodpecker. And this was kind of their over-the-horizon radar, and it just would randomly show up in 20 meters, and it was a lot of interference. In the Canal Zone, from KZ5, we had great propagation worldwide. We were near the water in the equatorial zone, and it was always good. In Germany, we had Russians and Italians. I didn't really have a very good setup in Germany antenna-wise. It was tough to, if you're working in, say, a ARRL DX contest, we're trying to work the West Coast, and we have to get over the East Coast first. So differences can also occur in some of these countries, not so much in the ones, like Germany, Korea, Panama, but differences can occur in, just the local infrastructure. Electricity may not be always 100% reliable. You might need generators. 20 or 30 years ago, we didn't have the luxury of the internet. Now, you're in VP5 and the internet goes down. It's like somebody cut one of your antennas, but you know what I mean. The climates, like I go back to Ralph's three-wife Bouvet Island expedition, the harsh climates. And in some countries, we just talked about P5 restrictive governments. They all make a difference. A few years ago, it was the ZAs, Albanians weren't on, BYs weren't on. Now you've got, some of my mentors like Scott, K0MD, going over there and operating a contest from a club station. So it's kind of a moving landscape.
Well, tell me a little bit more about this stealth Yagi. Now, Scott tells me that you had this set up next to the base commander's house?
Well, we have to get one thing straight. So a base is an Air Force location. A post is an Army post. So on the Army post at Fort Knox, it was right in his backyard. We had been stationed at Fort Knox before, and I had a tower up one of the other housing developments. But this time, we were kind of up on Colonel's Row, and post commander is a 2-star major general, and so I had this TA-33 Junior, which is kind of a small, lightweight antenna. I put it on a TV mast. I spray painted it, not Army camouflage back then, but spray painted it so it didn't stand out too much. But it was fine. I had to turn it with the Armstrong method, And it worked out okay. I mean, it was better than not being on the air, and it really didn't have any problems. In the military, I'd moved most of my hardware, the tower and the antennas with being a Mars affiliate, military amateur radio service, and that's still in existence today. But the weight did not count against your household goods. So when you move in the Army, the amount of stuff you can move kind of depends on your rank. Okay, so that did not count against my move, which was good because we still needed clothes and furniture.
Well, yeah, you might need those things, but you have to decide. If you had to decide, that wouldn't be a good decision.
Yeah, even having an ex-wife who's a ham, she probably wouldn't side with me on that one.
Probably correct. So, well, that's a good story. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And then we're going to come back and we're going to take your calls live. So if you have some questions about DXing and some of Fred's adventures, give us a call. It's 812-NET-HAM1 is the phone number. And we'll be back to do that right after this message from Spring Hill Suites, Miamisburg, right here on Ham Talk Live. If you're going to the Dayton Hamvention this year, be sure to join us for a live broadcast from Spring Hill Suites, Dayton South in Miamisburg, Ohio on Hamvention Eve, Thursday, May 18th. Ham Talk Live will have a live audience, and we'll put some of our visitors on the air to celebrate the annual migration to Dayton. And if you're still in need of a place to stay, Spring Hill Suites, Dayton South, Miamisburg still has some rooms available. Just 25 minutes from the new home of Hamvention in Xenia, Spring Hill Suites, Dayton South, Miamisburg is near the Dayton Mall, shopping districts, and restaurants. Enjoy fast Wi-Fi, an indoor pool, free breakfast buffet, rooms with microwave and refrigerator and sofa, and it's just minutes away from both I-75 and I-675. Reserve your rooms now at Marriott.com or call 888-850-6391. Spring Hill Suites, Dayton South, Miamisburg, the Hamvention home for Ham Talk Live.
We're not sure what's up with the fifth dentist, but 4 out of 5 dentists recommend listening to Ham Talk Live. Join the conversation. Call us on voice with Skype at Ham Talk Live or give us a call at 812-NET-HAM1. That's 812-638-4261. Now, here's more Ham Talk Live.
Welcome back to Ham Talk Live. We're here every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Be sure to check out our Facebook page and our Twitter feed. Just look for Ham Talk Live. You'll find us there. And we're going to take your calls. So if you have a question for Fred, call 812-NET-HAM1. That's 812-638-4261. Or you can Skype us at Ham Talk Live, or you can tweet us at Ham Talk Live, and we do have a couple of tweets ready to go here too. But while we're waiting on the calls, Fred, you had a couple other things about working from overseas that you wanted to throw in here, so why don't you go ahead and do that?
Well, many hams don't have like a high school club like you have. We were lucky. I was in rural Iowa, small town Iowa, and there was a ham K4IU. Anton helped me earn my license, and my brothers, and as I was active, I met another guy who later would become a good friend, Steve W0HT, who was a radiologist, retired, and he got me interested in DXing back in the 70s. So between him and the mentor I previously mentioned, KZ5JM, that was kind of my learning curve, and KZ5 was a learning experience with DX and DXing, and we had 24/7 propagation pretty much everywhere. I had good antennas, monobanders, big power, and it was just fun. Hotel Lima 9 was fun because as a U.S. ham, all of the call signs in that part of the planet were exotic to me because I just worked stateside stations. So the deep Central Asia stations and Malaysia and Indonesia. Those were like my backyard, but they felt like real DX. In Germany, DA2 call. I was this garden variety DX, really not that much of a DX station, but it was fun to be able to hear what DX sounded like from that QTH. And so I think with contesting, that helps in kind of knowing, when those guys are listening and, what their conditions are like too. So that's just the continuation of the story, what it was like to operate for a protracted period of time from other QTHs.
812-NET-HAM1 is the phone number. If you'd like to talk to Fred about DXing, give us a call. 812-NET-HAM1 is the number, or you can Skype us or tweet us at Ham Talk Live. Well, Dr. Scott Wright, K0MD, as we mentioned, did have a couple of questions ready for you. And he wants to know which of the 5 locations you've worked DXCC from was the hardest and the most interesting. And he wanted to know, can you compare DXing from those as an operator, which I think we kind of addressed that a little bit. But if you have anything else you can think of on that, that's fine too.
Well, I've been a ham a long time, and so I wouldn't say working DXCC from the States is that difficult. Over the time that we were in Germany, it was difficult. Probably the fastest time was a couple of weekends in the VP5 land. So we got down there for the contest. We've been down there, I think, 3 times with Scott and his team, W0BM, KC0W, and K0PC. We worked out in a day practically. And so I think the Caribbean has been a good location for me to knock out DXCC the fastest.
All right, very good. Now, what do you think made Germany a little more challenging?
Well, you don't have that cool call sign. The antennas really were the problem. I lived in kind of a restricted antenna network, so didn't have good location right next to the post commander. We were in a stairwell, which it's Army slang for living in multi-unit dwelling. Okay, like a series of condos. So you got to keep a low profile antenna and minimize all the RFI. We had a club station there as well, but it was I was just too lazy to get down there and use it routinely.
And another question from Dr. Scott Wright, K0MD. Can you tell a substantial difference in the receivers between your ICOM 7700 and the Flex 6700 when contesting or DXing, other than the top drawer pan adapter?
On the Flex, I like them both. I've had the Flex for a little bit less than a year. I have to tell you, I've just scratched the surface on this radio's capability. So it's the 6700, and Neil, it's got 8 receivers. Okay, you can look at 8 band, and it's 2 radios in one. So, it's just a there's so much flexibility with it. It's an amazing radio. So I try to use it. I have to say, though, in all honesty, it is not my go-to contest radio, but it is that radio is on all the time. And, I come downstairs and I look at the pan adapters and see what's going on. I mean, it's just kind of a cool thing. So I'm looking forward to kind of really getting into that radio. Super heterodynes, like 7700, they've been around for a long time, 100 years. But recently, you probably have seen the SDRs make the top of Rob Sherwood's list. But like I said, for serious contest activity, I'm on the ICOM, and I've had ICOMs for many years. And so part of it is just familiarity with the dial layout, and as I get older, I'm a little less flexible. But the Flex is, like Scott said, the pan adapter is amazing, and it's such a visual experience. I mean, the integration of, the visual and the sound, being able to look at not just one band, but say 8 bands, which I rarely do, but you could, it's just remarkable. I mean, on my webpage, I've got a couple of picture QSLs from way back when, and none of those pictures are there any computers. Okay, so very few computer monitors. Now you look at the average station, they may have one or more, and the bigger the better. So there's a lot of power in this visual sound interaction. And really, if you look at those pan adapters, you've got a sense of time as well, so you could almost say it's three-dimensional. I know that you've had some of the SDR folks on here, too. I hate to highlight my ignorance about, some of this technology, but I like them both.
Oh, yeah. I think they both have a lot of benefits, and it's always a good question to ask. It's one that we ask a lot, is which one do you like better, because there's still some there's still some advantages and disadvantages to both, and so we'll see how it all plays out.
Right, and you've got a 7300, and so you've got a taste of the SDR at a price point that is very, very good.
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
I tell you what, I've been a Kenwood fan all my life, and this 7300 at school that we have, we're just falling in love with it. The options of the scope and the touch screen and how quiet it is compared to what I'm used to with the SDR is just fabulous. So
that's a lot cheaper than the 991, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's a lot cheaper than that 990 that I keep wanting, and Scott keeps reminding me that I need. Well, we've got a caller on the line who's been patiently waiting, so let's see who we have here. Welcome to Ham Talk Live. Hello? Are you there? Okay, we have lost our caller, so if you want to call back, give us a call. 812-NET-HAM1 is the number. 812-638-4261 to talk with Fred, and hopefully they'll call us back here in a minute. Okay. Oh, here we go. Let's see if we can pick this up. Yeah, now we've got you. Who's this?
This is WB0WIV, Gordon.
Hi, Gordon. Thanks for calling.
I had a question for Fred, since he was kind of my mentor, got me started in ham radio years ago. We both came from the same hometown. And I just kind of wondered if Fred had any ideas on how to work some of the more Central Asian countries from eastern Iowa, since I don't have much luck at it.
Well, thanks, Gordon. Good to hear you again. And Gordon was, one of we worked him on 10 meters from HL9 land, which is a pretty remarkable feat. At the time, he was using a dipole. So if he can work Korea, I think that Gordon, if you just kind of keep your ears out, watch those spotting networks. First of all, ham activity tends to cluster around technology, and in certain parts of the world, that technology doesn't exist. So, and I think some of the stands, and I think that's what you're referring to, Turkmenistan, and let's see, that's number 10 or 11 on the list, but Kazakhstan. Those countries just don't have a lot of operators, and some of the the governments are restrictive. So the Maldives, Diego Garcia, those maybe a little bit further south in Central Asia, but you got to have people that are hams who are there. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Fred. Appreciate it.
Good to hear you.
Thanks for calling in, Gordon. Appreciate it. 812-NET-HAM1 is the phone number, 812-638-4261, or you can Skype us or tweet us at Ham Talk Live. We do have a few minutes remaining, so if you want to ask a question about DXing or something about Fred's experiences, why, go ahead and give us a call or a tweet right now at 812-NET-HAM1. So we talked a little bit about contesting. What is your favorite contest to work?
Well, Neil, I'm, as you know, antenna restricted, so we have some limitations. So I personally like the CW contest. I feel like I'm a better competitor, and I like the the CQ Worldwide CW contest in November. We've done the CQ Worldwide single sideband in October with, as I mentioned, with Scott and down from BP5 land. And, these are big league contest events with a variety of operators. They're big guns and little pistols together. And, so no matter what the contest, every competitor is important to the success of the event. So, if you're a big gun station, you need little guns to give you a call to, keep your rate up. So everybody's important. Everybody has a role. And with the skills and the station designs, those are, some of those can change, but there are also some equalizers like solar conditions, and they all tend to affect, the conditions. The conditions affect the contestants equally. So you've had some amazing guest operators as well as owners and operators of super stations. So you know this too.
812-NET-HAM1 is the phone number. We have a few minutes left, so give us a call, 812-NET-HAM1. So, yeah, the favorite contest may be whatever one is this weekend.
CQ Worldwide CW, man.
Yep.
I'm sorry, that's not right. That's not right. It's the ARRL CW. Got too excited about the CQ Worldwide.
Yeah, there you go. So,
and I didn't mention the RTTY. I didn't mention the RTTY contest. So, that's kind of a new mode for me. I've been active probably for only about 8 or 9 years, but that's a whole different world in itself. And some of these guys are in 8 and single operator 4 radios or 3 radios. That's amazing. Think about the rate that these guys. And so that's why a radio like the Flex has a lot of potential.
Sure. Well, what's your best recommendation to someone who hasn't worked one of these contests before and somebody that's new? What would you suggest to them to try to knock out 100 countries in a weekend?
Get on 20 meters. Get on with your 100 watts in a wire, and just give somebody a call. Kind of know what the rules of the contest are. You go to one of the websites I mentioned, WR7B and IMS, and each one of those links tells you what the rules and the scoring is. It helps if you have computer logging, but you don't have to. You can still keep a paper log and just you get on Saturday night or Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon when things kind of thin out. The frenzy is over, and the big guns are looking for the little pistols. And you're like phone. You don't do CW. Get on phone. Okay, 20 meters is going to be your go-to band with declining solar conditions. 40 meters might be a little bit more of a challenge, but I think 20, for a stateside guy in the morning or afternoon, you're going to find some DX. Remember, it's all relative.
Now, what is your strategy for the next few years when the dead bands are going to get worse? So what's your strategy for the next few years?
Well, the low bands are going to probably be your new favorite bands. 20, 40, 80, maybe 160 if you've got some real estate you can put up. So I think you can work a lot of DX on 20 and 40, and that'll keep us into the solar minimum and through the next maximum.
Very good. 812-NET-HAM1. We've got time for one more. 812-638-4261. If you have a question, give us a call or a tweet here real quick. And we're just about to finish things up with Fred, and want to appreciate or extend our appreciation for you coming on the show and sharing some of your experiences with us. Tell us a little bit more about the Canal Zone. And we actually posted a picture from your QSL card from the Canal Zone on social media. Tell us a little more about operating from there.
Well, it's pretty amazing. So, I was done with school, just finished fellowship at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So this is my first time really ever out of the country. So Judy and I, we had a 1-year-old, went down there, and we were stationed on the Atlantic side of the Canal Zone. Remember, this was a 10-mile wide, 15-mile long, U.S. Territory, and it had been there since the 1990s. And we took down the radio equipment. We were able to get a Canal Zone call through the local administration. We met some really good hams. I mentioned one of them, KZ5JM. He was on the Pacific side. But on our side, I was able to help mentor a ham, KZ5RO. Ron, he's Silent Key now, but he was a fireman. There were a couple of physicians at the Coco Solo Hospital there, and we just made some friends, and I had the real estate and the antennas, four-element monobander 204BA on 20, 153 3 elements on 15, and 3 elements on 10. And it was just a great setup and a great location. The antennas helped, but I think the location was even better. So I'd seen patients during the day, and then we did some contest weekends with Jim. His favorite contest was always the CQ Worldwide WPX contest. He always had a unique call, KZ0DX. At the time, KZ5FR was a U.S. territory, so it was for sweepstakes, it was kind of like an entity that everybody wanted. So it was kind of cool to operate sweepstakes from down in KZ5 land as well. So it was just a lot of fun. It really, it became a solid part of my identity, and I'm happy to carry it through to this point in time.
All right. Well, if you haven't checked out that QSL card on Fred's QRZ page or on our social media that we tweeted out and on Instagram and Facebook, check that out. It's a pretty cool picture. And Fred, thanks so much for coming on the show tonight. Really enjoyed it, and hope to catch you down the log.
Well, Neil, thank you. Good luck with your school roundup, and thank you for all the work you do with the kids in your radio club. They're the future of the hobby. 73.
Right. Thank you very much. That's a wrap for this week's edition of Ham Talk Live. I'd like to thank my guest, Fred Regennitter, K4IU, and everyone out there in cyberspace for listening and calling in, and invite you all back next week. Now, next week, looking at doing the show actually on Wednesday night, and we'll probably do that a little earlier so we don't run up against Ham Nation. But I've got to announce a basketball game next Thursday night. Happens once every other year, and next Thursday is the night that it happens on Thursday. So check Twitter or Facebook for the time, but I think we're going to do that a couple hours early. Probably on Wednesday next week. And, of course, if you tune in at the normal time, we're still there on the archive. You can listen to it anytime. So if you tune in at the regular time, just go ahead and hit play at that point. And so just wanted to let you know that we won't be live during our normal time slot next week. But we will bring you another episode of Ham Talk Live. And as we bring year one to a close, we thank you for listening, tweeting, and calling in, and hope you enjoy year number 2 even more than the first. For a list of all of our upcoming guests, visit hamtalklive.com. So for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and may the good DX be yours.
luck from Ham Talk Live.